Okay. Alright. Take 4. Alright. Had some audio issues, but this is how we figure out where our overlays are loaded into the RAM. So what we're going to need is we're going to want Desmune because it allows us this handy little live memory viewer as we run the game in our emulator. It's astonishingly accurate, so we're definitely going to want to use this while we're messing around with things here. We also want to open up our Y9 in a hex program such as HXD. That's what I'll be using. And we want to open up the overlays we're looking at. We have 157 to go through from overlay 0 to 156. But for now, we're just going to focus on overlay 0 and overlay 4 because they will present this well for learning, right? So we want to go into the Y9 and we want to figure out where overlay 0 will be loaded in the memory. So we need to find overlay 0. Your overlay number will be the first byte here. We can see this one's 0, and we see it goes in pattern down to 0, 1, 0, 2, all the way down to 9C or 156, the last overlay in our list. And then the end of an overlay is marked by 4 zeros. Now you'll see 4 zeros in the middle of an overlay sometimes, like right here. That is not the end of an overlay. We can tell by the pattern going from 01 to 02. HXD luckily lines this out really well for us, where every single one of these things is 2 lines. So that makes things really good for us. And we're just going to go to the right of whatever number of the overlay we're looking at here, and this is where we will go if we want to view and see if the overlay is loaded. But we're not going to paste out plain. We actually need to go in reverse order when we're looking at this. So I'm going to reopen this real quick. Yeah, I accidentally moved something. That was dangerous. Whew. Okay, so we're going to go here. And we're going to go in reverse chronological order of bits. So we don't want to reverse the byte, we just want to go 02, 06, 9A, A, O. That's backwards, right? And we'll see that it takes us to this registry in the memory. Now, we want to look at the overlay and see if these line up, right? They don't line up. We have an 08 here and we have a 10 here. So they don't line up. So maybe that means we need to decompress them, but to check and be sure, we want to make sure that we look here at the rest of the things that will load into this memory slot and see if any of them are loaded here. And we just want to check over everything and make sure that everything is proper. So we find, and it's of course going to show us the first one, but then we want to find again, and it'll take us down to overlay 4. So let's open up overlay 4 and let's see if it matches. And we can see here that it does indeed match with the currently loaded code in memory. So that means that overlay 4 is loaded here. Now, how do we know if it's necessary specifically for the menuing system? Well, if it's loaded, it's probably necessary. Maybe. Not strictly, but I'd assume so. And considering that it stays that way as we load into Spring Breeze, it's probably more of a general thing, and we can figure out more exactly what it's related to later, but it's probably more of a general thing that's called back upon by later code, right? We can tell because as we're doing things, nothing here is really changing. We can also see that these overlays can contain large amounts of code sometimes, and other times will only contain about that much code. See all of this. And we can see that if we go back up, it continues to match up as we go down for the foreseeable future. But let's go ahead and exit out here. And let's see what happens if I say want to load up one of these minigames. Well, now our loaded overlay changes. And if we go back to overlay 1, well, would you look at that? Overlay 0. Overlay 0 is loaded, and it loads throughout the whole thing. So overlay 0 controls something that's going to be running through the minigames. Not necessarily the minigames themselves specifically, but it loads because it's necessary for something that will be used by the minigames. And we can see nothing's really changing here. But this encompasses a large amount of memory, so there could be a lot of things changing here overall. But we can see when the overlays load, and we can go out through the game and see what maybe changes within the overlays range of memory. We can see when those things change, when we do certain actions, what overlays are loaded within specific levels or modes. We can mess around with overlays and see, where does the game crash, to kind of give us clues as to what exactly that overlay is used for. But this is just how you're going to look for those things. And you're going to confirm that the overlays do indeed load in certain parts of the memory.